Hello, beautiful souls. I am driving and I just kind of, excuse me, disclosure, I was eating sunflower seeds, so now I've got a little itchy throat. So I'm driving and listening to a message, and she said something in the message that triggered a download, and so before I forget it, because that often happens, I wanted to share the download with you. It's a download that is something that God has been working with me for quite some time now, kind of giving me bits and pieces of the puzzle, and it is I am. Now, I feel it's important to give a little background before I go into the download, so that it will make more sense in context as you're listening to the portion about the download. When I got to meet God, I don't want to say in person, but I was using plant medicine, psilocybin in particular, and I had researched the use of psilocybin for about 6 months before the opportunity became available to try it. And I had my own ideas of what the experience would be like. God had his own ideas of what it would be like. And while I was lying in bed having this internal spiritual experience, I got to meet God. And also a disclaimer, I'm hearing to mention that when I speak about God, I will use different words for the same entity that I'm describing. So source, universe, God, creator. I use all those terms interchangeably to describe the same entity, okay? So I was being pulled towards this giant ball of light. Think of the sun, but like bigger. And it was just pure light with rays stretching out, like beautiful white golden rays. And as I was being drawn closer to these rays, I noticed a couple things. One, I had an awareness of my presence, but I did not have a body. So I could look around and I could see everything that was around me, but I did not have arms, legs, or anything like that. It was just my energy. Also, as I was being drawn in closer to the center of this ball of light, as these rays were touching me, what I was feeling was joy, elation, happiness, contentment, kind of all these beautiful feelings. And they were very, very intense, to the point of weeping, except I didn't have physical eyes to cry with, if that makes sense. And as I drew even closer, I had the internal thought, what are you? And so this would have been equivalent of like a telepathic experience with God. And when I asked that, God responded, I am. And then he paused and he continued with unconditional love. So I am ... unconditional love. And so for me, when I came out of that experience, I realized what God was saying to me is he's not a person, he's not a physical being, he's an energy. And what that energy is unconditional love. And those feelings I was experiencing was demonstrating what that is. And that was a very powerful, life-changing experience for me, because it gave me such a deeper understanding of the universe and the world and my perception of humanity and everything. So that was a very pivotal moment. But I want to wrap it around to what he said. I am. Now, the download I got is in regards to identity. It is pretty clear to see that one of the problems we are facing on our planet at this time is an identity crisis. You can see that in many different ways, and to avoid getting too political on this message, I won't get into specifics because I don't want to deter from the main message. But if you just had some thoughts when I just said that, it's probably right along the lines of what I'm thinking too. And we have an identity problem on our planet right now. And part of that is because we wrap up our identities in everything external. Give me a sec, guys. I got to merge onto the freeway here. All right, we're good. So we wrap our identities up in everything external. And part of this is conditioning. If you're born into a certain culture, if you're born into a certain religion, if you're born into certain ideals, ideologies, philosophies, where you're born into has a big impact on how your identity is shaped, your family dynamics, the society that you're growing up in, and then it's constantly being manipulated. So from the time that you're born, your identity is being shaped for you, but not really for you, if that makes sense. It is outside people and entities kind of taking control of that and shaping you to what they think you should be. And part of a spiritual awakening is breaking away from that and deciding for yourself what your identity is. But when you go through the spiritual awakening and you start to realize that you are your own person, your own spirit, it's a little scary, because what you will find is a lot of the identities that you wrapped yourself up in, you will begin to realize those aren't your own and they don't resonate as truth for you. And so you begin to shed those, and it's it can be a very intimidating, scary, frustrating process. Because as you're stepping into your inner truth, you're going to find yourself coming into conflict with other things around you, people, family, friends, work, society in general. And so that's when part of the spiritual awakening becomes building your inner strength and courage to be able to stand strong in your own truth, and to have that courage to be okay with the judgment that you're going to get and the pushback you're going to get, because you will lose people from your life who just don't agree with you anymore. People will not be thinking the same way you do anymore. And so all of this experience can be pretty scary. I am is a powerful statement because normally as humans, we want to put something at the end of that. I am something. And the power in the statement of I am that God was showing me is that what we really are is I am. And what that encompasses is everything, which means you don't have to be a particular something, because you're already everything. As we are connected to the universe, we are everything. We are experiencing ourselves as a singular physical human being on this planet. But at our core, at our energetic being, we are connected to everything. Now, thank you, Spirit. They wanted me to just kind of give an example. Like, when you get to this point in your awakening process where all of this starts to make sense, you will begin to see parts of yourself in other people. And that's not by accident. That doesn't mean you're going to look at someone and say, oh, I'm just like that person. But you're going to begin to notice things about people that are parts of you. And that's exactly because we are all connected. So we really do ourselves a disservice when we attempt to put something at the end of I am, and that puts us into a box and says, well, I am this. Because then we're saying, well, I'm only this. And because I'm only this, I'm not allowed to be other things too. But if you embrace that I am statement as all-inclusive, it makes it much easier for you to step into your authenticity, because now you're breaking free from the need to be labeled with something in order to conform and fit into what other people or what society thinks you should be. So that statement of I am is extremely important from breaking free from this identity problem we have on this planet. Because you can be a lot of things at the same time that at one time people might have felt were contradictory. You don't need to accept that. You don't have to accept that as a fact for yourself. If you want to be this and you want to be that, and it works for you as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anyone else, and it's being respectful to yourself and to everyone around you, you absolutely have permission to be your authentic self. And I really feel if people understood this idea and this concept, the identity issue is something, it's very heartbreaking to see so many people struggling with their identity and feeling, if you take it down to like even a kid level and where it starts in schools where, you've got cliques of people and you've got the jocks and the nerds and the cheerleaders and the popular kids and the drama kids. And I'm just pulling from my own personal experience, but I'm sure it's about the same now as it was when I was a kid. But, there was this pressure to fit into a group, right? And if you were like me, I kind of fit in. I didn't fit into any one kind of group because I was a little bit of everything. Now, my very early years, I would say I was definitely more of the nerd variety. But as I grew, I started realizing I had a lot of interests. I had a lot of skills. I had a lot of, my personality was very dynamic. And I started learning this concept at a young age that, well, what about the people like me that don't have an identity? We don't belong to a particular group. And that was kind of my early foray into understanding all this concept. So, even younger, if you go into your family dynamic, and it's hard for me to kind of speak on that because my family, I didn't grow up with my siblings, but you can see these kinds of things playing out even early on in your family dynamics. And then you can see it playing out at the workplace where you've got groups of people and there's cliques within the workplace. And really, it's a human issue because it's ingrained in us. But I believe that we're coming into a season of people beginning to break out of that and understand that their identity does no longer needs to be wrapped up around these external validities, that your identity comes from within, and that identity, everyone's identity simply is I am. And you can be everything within that without the need or fear of judgment. That doesn't mean you won't get judged. It just means you don't have to fear it because you're stepping into your authenticity. But again, I will reiterate that is a process. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Okay, because my phone did a weird thing. So I hope I'm making sense, because I just got this download, and like I said, for me, it's been a process of understanding this and kind of integrating it. It's not, anytime you hear stuff like this, it's not going to be you hear it, you understand it, and then bam, overnight your life changes, right? It's a seed that gets planted. You think about it, you mull over it, you start to, make sense of it, you start to see examples of it, and then over time, if it resonates as truth for you, you begin to integrate that into your life through trial and error until you get to the point of mastery where you've totally, completely integrated it as a truth. And once that happens, you begin living that truth. So now your thoughts are aligned with that truth and your actions are aligned with that truth. So anytime I come on my channel and I share messages, the one thing I will always and forever tell you to do is take everything into discernment. Just because these are my personal experiences doesn't necessarily mean it's going to resonate as truth for you. However, there may be parts of what I say that resonate for you. Again, take those parts into discernment. That would be prayer, meditation, thoughtfulness, and see if it makes sense to you. And really the intentions of me ever sharing these messages especially my own personal experiences, is because I know with everything I've been through, how much it has helped to change and transform my life for the better. It's helped me to find peace in my life. It's helped me to heal things that I have carried with me since childhood, like depression and anxiety and things like that. It's helped me to become a better person in general, a better mom, a better friend. The things that I share with you are just my experiences that have helped me in general. And so that is my intention when I share these messages, is just to plant that seed of hope for you, that if these are the types of things that you struggle with or have questions about, that maybe my experiences can help you on your own personal journey. So I hope that makes sense. I'm about to arrive at my destination, so I'm going to cut this off. But I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for hanging out with me. Namaste, beautiful souls.